The movie you're making me watch today is a new old movie by Alexander Payne, starring Paul
Called the
Giamatti.
Holdovers.
Yeah,
Oh,
The
my bad.
Holdovers. Yeah. What do you think?
Schwartz, you told me in confidence that this was one of your favorite movies of the year. Sorry, I'm blowing the lead here. Tell us why this is one of your favorite movies of the year.
This was a good movie. I thought Giamatti was great with his weird eye, and I always like characters that are curmudgeons that become uncurmudgeonous and are cool in the end. Because deep down, that's kind of everybody. Because think about it, like Paul Giamatti is probably Anthony in like 20. To be honest, that's how curmudgeon Anthony's gonna be. He's gonna be like in Texas, just like sitting in his garage yelling at everybody. His eyes gonna be all fucked up. I just see
I have
it.
20/20
Just
vision,
Giamatti.
and I'm not a yeller.
I've heard you
You got nice
yell.
eyes.
I will be in the
Oh,
garage.
really? Do you? Do you have nice eyes?
I think he has nice eyes.
I've got great eyes.
Shit.
They both look
Yeah.
the same
Okay.
way.
I never noticed
Is
that.
that weird? Do you think they like would switch the eyes in production? Because it randomly because they kind of joked that no one could tell which eye was which eye was a
I'm
weird
not
eye.
gonna
Do you think
lie.
they
I
like
thought about
purposely?
that. I
Yeah, I
thought
thought
about
about that a
that
few times. Yeah.
because
Oh,
the
he doesn't
eye
have
he
a real fucked
pointed
up eye?
to at one point. No, that's not real. That's for the movie.
Uh, I thought it was real. I thought I just never looked closely at Paul Giamatti before.
He's a
That's
good actor.
amazing. That's awesome.
He's
I'm
Probably
glad
got
that
it
you
from the
watched
actual
water.
that.
eyes.
I also thought this movie was made in the 70s. I was like, what fucking movie are we watching, Jake? And I was like, when was this made? He was like, this was made this year. I'm like, no, I'm
Which it does have
Yeah,
the
they did that
look, like it
purposely for
has the
sure.
look and feel and pace and everything like that. I
Shot
think that the,
digitally.
that the tipper was really just Paul Giamatti. Like,
Yeah, you
how
can
do you
do
think Paul
anything
Giamatti
digitally
is?
now.
Like,
Yeah,
That's what's
it's
cool.
crazy. Like this movie
aged.
does look like it's shot on film, and like you said, was made in the 80s
Mhm.
or 70s.
Even like the opening credits had that like film like popping, like the old school like
The sound,
beginning of movies
Yeah.
in a movie
the
theater sound.
look,
It was cool.
obviously the wardrobe was on point. It was a very good, not only period piece, but period piece that looked like it was shot in period too, which they don't do very often. It's cool.
Mhm.
You think that that HBO show is kind of like like people are doing it because of that more because that's popular and they do that. You know what I'm talking about?
Which
The
one?
basketball one, the
Yeah.
the one about the Lakers.
Because don't they shoot that shit
No,
like
I
to
mean,
make it look old?
yeah, I mean, yeah, they
They
shoot that
do
shit
have
on
that vibe to
all
that.
all kinds
Yeah.
of different ways. They fuck with that. Yeah, I mean, it's super stylistic. They just canceled that show actually, believe it or
Good.
not. But yeah,
Basketball
they did
sucks.
2 seasons of it. It was pretty cool show.
Yeah,
I guess what
hard
I
to say
really
with
liked about
Alexander
the
Payne.
leftovers, I think what I was about to say, what I really liked about the leftovers is that it's an Alexander Payne movie. Like this guy
Holdovers.
makes pretty solid features. Like he he I mean Sideways, Election, Descendants, those are three pretty solid movies. I really Anarcho was good. Downsizing was all right, but like he makes movies that really kind of make you think about relationships you have with people that are close to you, and I think that's what he does best. And I think he also paces movies really well. I think at this point he's done these types of movies that he knows exactly what he's doing. Like he takes like interesting characters and kind of just like combines them with other people that they shouldn't be with, and they kind of just like feed off of each other. Like all his characters movies are like so opposite or so like, get involved with each other because like they're almost have to or by chance. There's not many times that he makes movies about like people that are like friends that are doing things. I guess in Sideways was the only one, but those people you realize didn't really know each other either. I kind of feel like his shit's always about like the communication between people, just in general, the way that people discover it or this everything. I think that's what his movies are about.
Yeah, he
That
always
is
has
certainly
good
what this movie was
characters in
about.
his movies.
I've never seen
Yeah,
any of his
definitely.
other movies.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, they're mostly about that. The Descendants was about a family who has a death in the family and they become closer. Sideways is about two friends that go on a road trip and realize who the they are. Fucking Nebraska is about a father and son who discover what their relationship means. Elections, I guess, is the only one that's really kind of not like that. That's kind of like a really dark comedy about a fucking high school student and her teacher or principal. They're kind of like best of enemies. It's Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon. It's pretty good.
Still good characters in
I
that one
think it's
too.
great
It was it was
characters.
it
Yeah,
was
his
a, it
character's
was a
always interesting.
smart comedy for the time it came out. Like it was the time of
Oh, you
like
know what else
wacky
he made
comedies.
too? Which is probably my favorite movie of his is the About Schmidt, the Jack Nicholson movie. That's a fucking really good movie. And that's a
Yeah.
father connecting with his daughter again. Fucking Kathy Bates gets his full frontal in that movie. It's pretty wild.
Nice.
65-year-old Kathy Bates, full frontal.
Still got it.
Hey, that's what you're into.
My Bobby can see
Still got
whoever
it.
he wants, except you.
Yeah. I think it's well made. I thought the character of what was her name? The cook lady.
Mary was the
Was it
character.
Mary? Yeah, I liked
Yeah,
her. Thought
I
she
think
was
her name
really
was,
good.
like
Was very
Divine
believable.
Randolph or something.
Yeah, she was very, very believable. I thought she killed it. Thought the kid was pretty great. He was interesting. I just
Yeah,
I
the
feel
kid
like
was really good. That was his first movie. Like I guess he's done like
they
theater
found
stuff,
him
but
at the
that was
school
his
that they
first
shot
film,
at.
yeah.
Yeah, he was going to the
He
school
was
that they shot
impressive.
at. Yeah, he was good. He definitely held his own with
I
an actor of
yeah.
Giamatti's caliber.
And Giamatti and Divine Joy Randolph is her name. They both got the Oscar nominations for this. This has a few Oscar nominations currently.
Oh, she's gonna win for sure. She's winning.
I think so,
He's probably
yeah.
gonna lose to Killian Murphy, but I think he's got a shot. If Killian Murphy doesn't
Probably, but
win,
he's like a
he's got a
runner-up
shot.
spot.
He's got a
He's
shot.
got a
Yeah.
shot, but I think Killian Murphy
Yeah.
will probably
I
take
think
it.
Killian Murphy's got it though. Yeah. I
But
think
think she's
Oppenheimer
got
is going to
she's got
sweep
the
the
Oscar.
Oscars, to be honest.
I think I agree at this point.
I think it's going to get director. I think it's going to get picture. The only thing it might not win is screenplay. That might go to like Barbie or something.
No, what was that? An original or was that an adapted? I think
Oh,
there's
you're
other
right. It might have been
better written
adapted.
movies
Oh,
than that.
It was adapted from.
I'm just
But
going with
yeah, I
Barbie.
think you're right though. With like with like the director and everything, I think Oppenheimer's pretty much got it.
Nolan just hasn't got it, and he's
There's
been
the
nominated
movie.
like
Yeah.
5 times, and this movie was pretty goddamn American.
Yeah. If
I
you
don't know.
win,
Yeah,
I feel like
true.
it's gonna be a pity win for him. Not a pity win, but like here. This is not his
No, this
best
is.
movie.
I mean, it's a well-made fucking movie. It's
Who cares?
enjoyable as much as Inception or. What do you mean? I mean, it's not as enjoyable as Inception or The Dark Knight in the fact that like it's pure like entertainment. It's definitely just as good of a movie. Like it's just well as made. It's just the topic is just not as interesting. Like it's a biopic. Biopics kind of, at least in my opinion, I'm not a big biopic guy, so I agree with you to an extent. But I also think that like he makes movies that are kind of not always Academy Award movies either. You know what I mean? The plot sticks are not things that usually get recognized. So when he does make something that does, I think they're gonna give it to him. But anyway, to this movie, Jake, why'd you like this fucking movie or hate this movie?
I liked it. I don't think I loved it. I think it was I agree with you like with the character stuff. They had really good characters. It was a Christmas movie, which is kind of fun at times. But it kind of followed your typical tropes of like troubled youth, and this guy learns from his past mistakes, and he's kind of like sees himself in the kid. It was very like I feel like I've seen it before. So it was like it felt familiar, and
Sure.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's not a new plot, I guess. I thought the
Yeah.
between the kid and his dad was interesting though. That was very very sad and very I didn't expect his
That
dad
was-
to be the way he was. That was
That was
interesting.
surprising.
Yeah, cool.
surprising.
I really felt
But
really
it
felt
wasn't
for
really-
him in that scene when he goes to talk to him though, and he like telling him about his life, and then like he realizes as soon as he answers him that like he knew, but it's just like the dagger in him, like that this will never be my dad again. That was pretty sad.
Yeah.
What happened to
Kind of a
him?
bummer. Definitely a bummer ending.
I don't know.
The
They don't
dad-
really say. They say he kind of just went right. Maybe he's schizophrenic. Maybe bipolar. I don't know.
Yeah, just kind of went crazy.
Yeah,
I think he just
and then
kinda
it, like
succumbed
shows
to
that
his
he's
madness.
on pills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the kid's depressed. It's an antidepressant. Had the same medication as the teacher. Kind of just all like the sad shit. The other main character, Mary, her son had just recently died. This was her first Christmas without her son. So there's a lot of gloomy shit going on in this movie, of course.
What year is it set in?
Yeah, 1970.
1970.
Yeah,
So is it Vietnam?
it was Vietnam War. Yeah, that's what she lost her kid,
Everyone
and that's
get
what the whole thing was
drafted.
about him too. That if he got kicked out of school, he was going to go to military school, and then eventually he probably would have got drafted. So that's what he didn't want to do.
Yeah, that was the whole thing about Mary's son is that because the kids that go to that school, whatever school it was, don't get drafted because they're rich white boys.
Kids. Yeah.
Whatever. I don't have much to say.
Yeah,
about
that
this
was a
movie.
sad one.
I think the way it was shot and the way they made it look, and the way the with the music and all the whatever effects and filters they used to make it look like it was shot in the 80s, 70s. I think that was cool. I think that was probably the point of this movie, other than to have like a whatever story with Paul Giamatti, like having a good script for Paul Giamatti to speak. Other than that, it was just kind of blah. I was impressed by the way it looked. That's what I was impressed about. They took a lot of
Yeah,
there's
I mean, I see what you're
craft
saying.
involved.
they took a lot of effort to every little detail to not only again make a good period piece with wardrobe and what it looks like in the frame, but how it looks camera wise. I think that was great. It tricked me at first.
Yeah.
I saw old ass Paul Giamatti too. I was just like, man, I've never seen this movie. This is crazy.
Yeah, the camera movie was pretty awesome too. There was some great zooms. There was some great like whip pans and that like reveal things, and it's definitely very stylized in that way. I thought that was fun.
Yes,
Like
certainly an
the
old style.
yeah, it was super like studio system style, like an Odd Couple type movie. You know what I mean? Something like that, like
Yes.
an old fucking.
Do you think that was the
What's that guy's
point?
name? The director, Wilder,
Alex. Oh yeah, I see. Like the point to
like
like
old Billy
make it
Wilder
look like
movie.
the era that it was. Is that what you're asking? Kind
To
of.
make it look at the air, but also
Because I'm
like have kind of the acting and the kind of basic storyline. Like, was it the point? Was that the point? Is to make
Well,
it?
well, his
it
lines are
had to
always
have
pretty
been.
basic. His storylines are about that's what it is. It's like people situations where they get to reveal things. Like that's all his that. Like his none of his movies have any complicated storyline. There's no like really much going on except the interaction between the people and his all his shit's like that. It's like Woody Allen-y, you know what I mean? It's just it not and his movie this movie was funny. Like I laughed out a few times in this movie too, I think. Like I that's what I appreciated about it. Like the kid was really witty. I thought his character was cool. I thought once you get to know that he's not just an asshole, like when the one kid pees the bed and he helps him out, and then like when he like helps Paul Giamatti out by fucking telling him he's his nephew and talking about his book that he's writing and all that shit. Like I like that. Like I like that he doesn't wasn't just some rich fucking prick who just was like bored. You know what I mean? He had real reason to be like the way he was. And
Well,
I think that's
they
another thing too
definitely
is like
gave him the depth. They made he was smarter than everybody else. He was the one that got the
yeah
B plus. Everyone
yeah
else was
Yeah,
yeah
the characters were good. Like he had really well flushed out characters. I think they did a good job with that. I think where it lacked was just the thing was kind of. I think that goes back to even what Anthony's saying about how it feels so much like a 1970 movie. Because if we watched a movie made in 1970, it would feel slow to us. Just we're just used to a quicker pace.
Yeah,
This
the acting
had
would be
sure
a
a
little
pace
off,
like that era.
which is kind of why he was never an actor before this. He was just some kid that they found.
well, he
Well,
was
I
an
think he
actor
did
in
like
acting
theater,
school.
but he was
He went to a
yeah.
theater school that they shot at, so he was a member of
Okay.
the school. Yeah, because they couldn't
Then
find
I
the
got
kid, so
lucky.
they were like, "Well, why don't we just look at people who are going here?" And like they looked at like four different schools, and they like interviewed all the kids from four schools, and like they found this kid in one of the schools, and they really
And it
liked
must have
him.
been a lot of all these kids in there. Like the first almost half of the movie, first third of the movie, there's like multiple kids, and they all seem to very
Yeah,
much just like have that. Like the interaction felt very natural with like
it
how
felt
kids would
real.
interact back
Yes,
then. Felt
very
very
real.
so they did a good job with
Yeah,
that. But yeah, it didn't. But still like you believed like the way like everything down to like their look, their vibe, like the discussions they had were very much like authentic to that time.
yeah. All right, so should I just go through the movie a little bit then? Just to all right, so it opens up at a prep school, all boys prep school in Massachusetts, Boston, or right outside of Boston, I guess, a few hours outside of Boston. In the 1970 winter of 1970, and it's Christmas break, and you're introduced to a few of these students. Our main guy, what's our main guy's name?
Tully,
Our main,
the
yeah,
student you're talking, yeah, Tully, Mr. Or
yeah,
Angus,
Tully,
Angus Tully.
Angus.
Angus Tully,
Calls him
yeah,
Mr.
Angus
Tully
Tully's
all the time.
our main character, played by Dominic Sessa, his first role, I guess, and it just shows how he's kind of like a loner slash person that people like, I guess, kind of friends with, but he's also got a lot of like, I don't want to say beef with people, but it sets it up as he's kind of like the guy that everybody kind of fucks with a little bit. And then you're introduced
He
to
seems like he
Paul
thinks he's the
Giamatti's.
smart kid, and people don't like him for that. He knows he's the smarter one, but and people don't like him for
Yeah.
that because he was trying to help. He was trying to help him out. And like to him when he was in class and they were still in class when everyone else was taking the break because it was Christmas break. He was like, dude, you can't fucking give us a new subject right now to Paul Giamatti. But he was kind of trying to champion for everyone, and then that backfired for him, which made him the enemy of the students.
Yeah. So you're saying that happens normally.
And this was right after he handed out the tests, and everyone got like D's and C's and like pretty low grade F's. Like he flunked a bunch of kids, and he had a B
Yep.
plus. He had the
Yeah.
best grade in the class.
Yeah.
We visually see that he is the best student.
Probably deserved an A,
But
but Paul
you know,
Giamatti would give him the B plus just so it's like not an A type of thing. That's the kind of guy he is. So you meet Giamatti at this part, and you realize that he's an asshole. He's the person, he's the teacher everybody hates. Like even the teachers fucking hate him. He's just they don't like to be around him. He's a kind of like we said before, a curmudgeon, and he gets the order to have to watch the holdovers that can't go home for Christmas break because one of their teachers lies and says his mom has lupus, which is a nerve disease, a degenerative nerve disease that it's pretty hardcore disease actually. It's kind of like MS style.
That was funny.
But anyway,
he goes, "Does your mom have lupus?" She's like, "I don't know. She might. We don't really talk about those things."
she might. That's one of the times I laughed out loud, actually, just because it was so random. It's just like, why would the way he said it? It's like, yeah, we don't really talk about that. And then when Paul Giamatti says to him, "Oh, sorry to hear about your mother," he goes, "Huh?" And he goes, "Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. That made me laugh too. It's because how much of a dick he was. He couldn't even play along with it.
But also, we learned Paul Giamatti basically lives on campus. He was never going home anyway. He's also a former student of the place.
Yep. But he went to Harvard, and you find out later that he got kicked out of Harvard, but we get to that later. But he did go to Harvard, but now he's back at this high school teaching kids. And you also find out that, like I said before, the staff hate him, the people hate him, and he is still getting yelled at for not passing the son of a senator that's like a big contributor to the school financially. And the guy who runs the school, the warden or the fucking whatever you call him, he still hates him for that. And the warden's also a former student that Paul Giamatti taught that he hates too.
We learned that which I thought was pretty great.
Yeah. So he's got to stay.
Of principle too. Like he doesn't fuck around. He doesn't like buy into like the nepotism and all that shit. He's just like, well, he has opportunity.
Because
you come to find out why too.
They say like
right, yeah.
They know like they're honest. What do they say like what's the school called?
Barton men don't lie.
Barton men.
Barton men don't lie. That was a kind of an ongoing thing, even though they keep lying throughout the whole movie.
Right.
Yeah, which is hilarious. Yeah. So then you see who's staying behind, which is our main guy, Angus. His mom abruptly tells him that she's going to leave him at the school so her and her new husband can have the honeymoon that they never got to have because of whatever, which you learn is problems with his father and shit like that. Anyway, so he gets the shit end of the stick, at least in the beginning. Like that would suck to find out day of. Like that's what he says. He's like, "Oh, you got to tell me now? Like you couldn't tell me like a week ago or what the fuck?" So I could prepare. But you tell me day of. That's pretty. That is a pretty dick move.
Waiting for.
Yeah. So he finds out he's got to stay, and then the other people with him is like this cool ass jock kid who's got long hair, kind of a hippie kid, super fun. And then one of his like frenemies who you meet in his school, who's kind of like a kid he's friends with, but also like beefs with a little bit. They're kind of like friends, but fuck with each other a lot. And then two younger kids who you find out, which I thought was a great scene. The scene where you don't know who anybody really is, and then like they all stop and one of them smokes a cigarette, the other guy hits the weed, and they kind of tell each other who they are and where they're from and shit. I thought that was a really cool way of doing that. Like Alexander Payne's a pretty great filmmaker. I think that's why I like this movie too, because it's really, really well done. Like I get that you've seen it before, but it's his version of it, and I think it's truly his version of it, which I like.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of appreciation for this movie. I just found myself bored at times, unfortunately. Like it was just that slow pace. And there was a lot of scenes I did enjoy, but I think it just took its time where it just didn't need to be. And maybe I feel like I always complain about like it's too long, but it just felt like it could have cut some of the fat out.
Yeah.
But it was still good. Like it was still a good film. I think a lot of people have it like really like high on their list of like movies of 2023 or whatever. And I don't really get that. It didn't really like, break my top 10 or anything. So I don't know, but it's good. Still a good, well-made movie.
Yeah.
Well crafted.
So
no doubt.
Where are we now?
Have we met the Mary yet?
Yeah, I was about to say you meet Mary. She's the cook. It actually opens up with them we already met Mary. We just didn't talk about it. Opens up with them, and it's a Catholic school. We find out, and they're in their prayer session in the church, and there's a picture of a young black man in a uniform, and you come to find that it's Mary's 20-year-old son who died in Vietnam, and he was like a former student there, and he went there because his mom worked there, and she wanted to provide him with a good education, so she got a job there. You find that out. So that's fresh. That just happened within the last couple of weeks or months, I guess. And
she's still pretty obviously sore about it.
Oh, obviously. And you find out she lost her husband at 25 in a freak accident at work where he was working on like a construction site of some sort, and a piece of machinery broke and fell on his fucking head and died. He was 25. So she hasn't had much luck with the family members in her family surviving. So she's in a shitty place. And she's staying at the school because it reminds her of him that she could go find out she could have went to her sister's house for the holidays, but she decided to stay at the school because that's the last place that they were together. She's cool as shit. She's a good character. She's very interesting. She definitely is like a young person with an old heart and an old way of looking at things. And what I mean by old is just like knowledgeable and caring and empathetic and making the best of everything. I guess I think she's probably just so like beaten down that she has to do it.
She's kind of
But
jaded. She's kind of jaded
me
by a lot right now.
Oh yeah, but she still does it with class. You know what I mean? I think that's what I'm trying to say. She's like, she never really, she doesn't take it out on anyone. She keeps her composure and she really makes it so that like you don't have to. You have because you know with some people. I mean, this might be a horrible thing to say, but some people who are going through bad times or are just in general not pleasant, they kind of think they like to project that on people. Where she is not trying to do that in any way. You know what I mean? Like she's not trying to get your pity or anything like that. She's kind of just existing and doing her best, which I like about her character. That was an interesting way of doing it.
And both her and Giamatti, heavy whiskey drinkers.
Oh yeah, big drinkers. I watched this with Drew Liner. He was like, "I fucking love this guy. All he does is fucking drink." I was like, "Yeah, he's just like
bottles
you,
of
dude."
Jim Beam all day. Can't bend over, but got gout.
If anyone's gonna grow up like Paul Giamatti, it's Drew Liner.
Oh, for sure. I told him that.
We got to cash
That
Drew.
scene when he drinks the Remy Martin in the car, he just chugs it. That was the best. So anyway, yeah, you meet them, you meet two younger kids who are sitting there because one's parents are on mission in Uruguay because they're Mormons, so they're helping out underpoverished people. And then the other kid who's this Asian dude, impoverished. Is that what the name is? Is it impoverished?
Underpoverished.
Is that the word?
Oh, they out there helping
Repoverished.
poors.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, they're helping the poor people. And the
There was
Asian
the two
dude
kids from
why
the
did he stay?
LDS, like the Korean kid too, right? He was pretty funny.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
just
yeah.
the-
What
Just the white kid was the LDS.
the white kid was the Mormon,
the
yeah.
Korean kid. Yeah.
But what did the
Yeah,
Asian
Korean
dude? What
kid
was his family
was a
doing?
Buddhist.
I thought
Oh, yeah.
They just were in
both-
Korea and they just didn't want him to
Travel alone,
The kid
right?
was in Korea because he made a comment that he was like Buddhist or something like that. at one
No,
point.
somebody
Yeah.
called him
After
Buddhist.
he
I
made
didn't
the
know if that was right or if he was, or if that
Well,
was
it's
just.
yeah.
Are Koreans Buddhists?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think.
You just said I don't know, and now you said
Either way,
yeah.
I don't. I think it was just. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Probably not. Yes.
I have no idea, but I'm
yeah,
100% sure yes.
Probably. Let's go with probably.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
for some reason,
Um,
and I only watched this. I just watched it, but for some reason, I thought they both were a part of the church. But no, it doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. They all
Maybe.
went snowboarding. Who cares?
No, not really.
Yeah, they get to.
Yeah.
So what happens is you find out that I guess I'll speed it up a little bit. Paul Giamatti is going to have them basically at school the whole time. Like they're going to have to exercise. They're going to have to do work. They're going to have to attend like study hall. They're not just going to
Like
sit around and do
Breakfast
whatever they
Club.
want. And so yeah, it's just like Breakfast Club. Yeah, and then the quarterback kid who you find out has long hair because his dad wanted him to cut it. And he didn't want to cut it. His dad gives in, quote unquote, comes with his helicopter because he's a rich kid and takes him all skiing. But Angus can't go because his parents don't answer the fucking phone because they're out fucking
He takes
banging
all
on
the
their
kids.
honeymoon or whatever the fuck
They
they're doing.
realize each other's asshole.
Yeah, except for Angus because his parents can't go. His parents can't let him go.
That was how cool is that guy? He's just like fuck it. These kids
Yeah,
are
that
going
was
with
cool.
me.
Yeah.
Right.
Giamatti
Also-
loved it too. He didn't want to hang out with those fucking kids.
Don't think you could fit all those kids on that helicopter, but who cares?
Did that not all feel like somewhat of a waste of time though? Once they all left, it's like they
So-
left like 45 minutes into the movie. I feel like that was way too much time
Yes,
spent with that.
But I
since
think
it was just all going to change.
what Schwartz said
guess.
he likes about Alexander Payne movies in the beginning is how these are people that are kind of put in these situations that shouldn't be together. I did find it interesting how eventually they got to be by themselves. And then when they were, I was like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
everybody just bounced. That's it. That is a way to put them together.
Yeah, I didn't mind that at all. I thought that was cool. I think Jake, what you're just saying, your
It
problem
was-
with this
could
movie
happen
is it's
sooner.
like it's just 20 minutes too long. You cut 20 minutes out of this movie, and Jake would love it.
Probably.
I think the more we're
Yeah,
talking about it, the
probably.
more I'm liking it. So
yeah, it's a good one,
And
man.
I don't
Anyway.
dislike it. It just that was my main complaint is it's a little too long and a little too slow, but it's still good.
So those kids leave, and then Angus is really the only kid out of those kids, besides from maybe the real young kids, that probably would have even wanted to hang out with Mary and Paul Giamatti, because I kind of think, like Anthony said, he is smarter than everybody, and I think the way he looks at the world kind of just aligns with older people's thoughts. So I think he kind of enjoys being around older people, and So they kind of become a little like crew.
We also learn, like, not only is he like on medication for depression, he sees a therapist. Like, he's very in tune, much more so than
With
the other
himself.
kids.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because of what happened with his dad. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They
has to be.
probably started doing that once his dad went through that shit. Yeah. And that's another thing too I thought was interesting. Like even in the beginning, I mean, what the mom did was kind of a dick move by just telling him day of he wasn't coming home. But from that scene and from even the scene when you first meet the mom in the end, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Just you always think she's the bad guy, but when you realize how it affected her too, she's not really the bad guy. Like she got it just as bad as Angus did. Angus is just has to deal with it in a different way because his mom's at a different point in her life to where she's handling it in a total different way. You know what I mean? It's just she's not really the bad guy as opposed to the situation is just a fucking shitty situation for everybody. And it's kind of where in this moment he's just getting the shittier end of the stick. You know what I mean? Like she's not a bad person anyway.
He's
And
a
in
kid.
fact, that scene really made me like her actually when I realized like what she was doing. She was really just trying to live a normal fucking life after. Like imagine that though. You're with somebody and you have a kid and you have a real life and all of a sudden they just change like that and your entire life is just upside down. Everything that you've known or been building is gone or partially torn apart. Like that would be wild.
Oh,
That's a good point.
100%. They have different eyes.
Like,
I'm looking at him right
throughout,
now.
like I feel like it changes.
His right eye, which is the good eye in the end, is all backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
feel
thought
like
that too.
I feel like
Man,
it
I
switches
thought
up.
Paul Giamatti just had fucked up eyes.
They acknowledge that throughout.
I love that you thought he had a fucked up eye. No, that was
I just
for the
went with
movie.
this movie, dude.
What is
I
this,
thought it was in the
Chevy?
60s. I thought he had a fucked up eye. I didn't know why he was so old.
That's funny. All right, so what's the first thing that
Alexander
happens?
Payne is that good. Dude. He got you.
You got me, dude.
What's the first thing that happens when the
I
three of them
think
are hanging out?
Angus
He breaks his arm.
pretty
I think that's the
quickly
best thing that
is
happens.
pissed and he breaks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that happens pretty quickly after the rest of the kids leave.
Yeah,
He like
they
kind of
all
gets pissed,
leave.
tries to leave, tries to book a hotel, then runs away, breaks his arm. They take him to the hospital, and then kind of they bond from that because he kind of like has to. They kind of start lying about
Yeah.
the insurance shit. They kind
Well,
of
Giamatti would have got fired possibly if that happened. Yeah, and he lied for
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Out of nowhere. Giamatti didn't ask him to. Giamatti didn't want him to. He took it upon himself to essentially save Giamatti in that moment. And then it was kind of a he said whatever because there's a lot of French quotations going on, but I think he said something about you owe me now.
Which is another cool thing about this movie is this isn't just Giamatti playing somebody who's supposed to be smart. Like the things that he says are very intelligent. He talks in like words of literature and science and history, like quoting things like, and everything he quotes is pretty on point. Like he never says anything that you'd be like, well, why would he say that there? Like, and it's never hard to understand. I feel either like it's very basic knowledge of things that are mostly big. Like I caught on everything.
There's a
like,
lot of
things.
things.
I'm not like I'm not saying I'm stupid, but I'm not like a super smart person. Like I don't know a lot about everything, but I got all the references and everything like that. And it was interesting. It's also interesting at our age. Now, let me ask you to think about this. This is one of the first movies to where I watched a movie about a character that was much younger than me and a character that's much older than me. But I was definitely more entertained and on the side of the older characters' ideals. Like, and I don't know if that means I'm getting older or it's just the way the movie's made. It was like showing me that that's really the smarter way. Like, well, how do you feel about that? Like, when you think about it, when you watch these high school movies or you watch movies that you're always like, yeah, you always get with the younger guy and you agree with all that. But this one, I was like, oh no, man, I'm kind of agreeing with all the older guys stuff. I thought about that too.
I think you're freaking me out because I feel like right now I'm in the middle. Like I'm like the guy.
Yeah, we are in the middle. We're midlife right now.
Where like, because Tully's in that path of like he could easily become Paul Giamatti's character, like because he's kind of like rebellious, kind of like has a bad attitude, but he's smart. So like maybe we all have similar qualities in that way. We like the characters are supposed to be relatable.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe we're weirdly in the middle. Like we see where he's gonna be in 20 years, and that's where we are.
Yeah, well,
and that's
that dude. Yeah,
I think I probably am more on the side of like I probably thought stupid kids more than I thought crazy old man.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know
But
about that.
I'm definitely in the middle.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm with Jake. I definitely feel I felt both ways a lot.
And the
It was
movie,
good.
and the
It was a good
movie
mixture
shifts, I think, toward. Sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry, I feel like
Anthony,
took
go
away
ahead.
fucking
You
flow,
finished
but-
your statement.
I was gonna say it was a good
Finish your statement,
mixture of
Anthony.
characteristics between the characters that you can
Yeah.
relate to
You
both.
kind of took a little from each one, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. I liked how Mary's character could say literally whatever the fuck she wanted to Giamatti too, and he would not even like bat an eye. Like she told him like she called him an idiot. She told him she was like you're fucking crazy, and he was just like. You know what I mean? He just doesn't. I don't think many people say
He
that to him
knows who
without
he
him
is.
having to defend himself. Yeah. But he didn't defend himself in front of her. Like I feel like the three of them were actual people who were actually friends, whereas everybody else was just someone they had to be around. You know, which was cool. So what happens next? Breaks his arm. They bond over the fact that they had to lie and help each other out, and they come up with that phrase, that French phrase, where they say it through the whole movie. I forget what it was called. And then what happens? Is this the party?
Les
Is this the
they-
party?
Incompetents.
Did they go to the party?
Yep, they go to the
So
party.
one of the
which
women
is-
that works at the school, she's like the principal's lady, like right hand man. They go to a restaurant to eat, and they see that she's picking up some extra shifts, for Christmas money. And then homeboy Angus gets involved with an older kid playing pool, playing pinball, and one of the guys from the war got his hand fucking blown off. Now he's got a hook hand. And Giamatti kind of saves him from getting his ass kicked by buying the guys around a beer, and that's another thing they bond over. And
That
then
was-
the lady invites him to her party.
That was one of the
Go ahead.
first times, though. You were saying you kind of got everything. Paul Giamatti said something like, let me whatever you got, buy you guys and imbibe drink, whatever. He said something very long-winded and multi-syllabic, and they were like, "What the fuck is that?" And the lady was like, "What he's trying to say is."
Yeah.
Let him buy you a
Yeah.
beer.
He wants to buy you a
and
beer.
it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. He also mentions he goes, let's let this go the way of the dodo. And they're like, huh? And he's like, oh,
fuck
it's a
does that
bird that
mean?
went extinct. I mean, that was another one. That was pretty
So
great.
when he was talking to the dummies, he was definitely, you could tell how smart, or people there was definitely a section of people that were like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
Yeah.
talks to Santa about like the fucking wardrobe.
That
of
Santa
they're
conversation
like-
was hilarious
Wait, when was that?
at the
But
bar.
I think that
When was
that
the
was a
Santa
little
conversation?
later. I think that was
Oh.
toward the end. But it was like he saw Santa like sitting at the bar at the bowling alley.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he just-
yeah.
and the Santa was just like bullshitting with the bartender, and then it was another just Giamatti moment where he's just like, "Did you know that it's technically inaccurate because it was in Turkey and blah blah blah."
He's like, "You should
But-
be wearing sandals."
One of those moments. And it was, and then they just stared at him. It was just a funny little moment. That's all.
Yeah. Big Lebowski guys.
Yeah, it felt exactly reminded me of a scene from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah. So they go to the party.
Yeah, they go to the party.
This is where this whole time you think that this lady that invites you to the party maybe has a little bit of the hots for Giamatti, but
They definitely had chemistry.
they definitely have chemistry. She's very nice to him. She's a little flirtatious. He reciprocates that. She's a very nice person, and they get to the party, and this is where Mary kind of gets drunk and kind of gets in her own mind and is playing old music at the party that reminds her of her son, and she's kind of going through it a little bit.
Yeah, she's a little wild.
Yeah. And then what else happens? This is where Angus goes to hang out with the woman who invited him to the party's niece down in the basement doing kid stuff, and he kisses her. And what else happens?
This movie's awesome.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think this is one of the- this is another one of those moments where I was a little
Cut
bored.
this whole 20 minutes out.
Yeah, the party scene I was
Really,
a little bored with.
I think the party scene was one of the best scenes because it really was about Mary and it showed like her shit. I
The Mary part,
actually like that.
yeah.
Like even that scene in the kitchen where they try to comfort her, I thought that was a really cool scene between the four of them, really showing compassion for her when they don't have to. Really, you know what I mean? Like she
That
yeah,
was a
I
good
really liked
moment.
that
Just
scene,
the
actually.
build up to it,
Yeah.
the party just kind of bored me in general. But that was a good moment, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
So what else happens? Someone else talk about it now.
She kisses.
think
So
he
we
wants
find
to go
out
to
the lady's
Boston.
got a husband.
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
He
So
finds
she
out this
comes home,
chick's
yeah.
not into him at all. She's just super
And then
nice.
he's bummed. And that's a bummer.
Yeah.
And then he kills himself.
Yeah. Hey, he's not that bummed. He's not that bummed in general. Like that's another thing you find out is that like
Nah.
he kind of doesn't care. He says that he's like, I don't really give a fuck about carnal pleasures or even impressing people or trying to get people to like me. He's like, I'm kind of just at a point where it doesn't matter to me. I was
Yeah,
like, damn, I love
you
that.
got to build yourself up to that point, you know. Like
Yeah.
you got to build the tolerance of the intolerance of others. And he didn't just like wake up one day and was like, yeah, I like to be alone. No, he was alone for so long. He was like, yeah, this is life.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, but it's also
It's
kind of
super
awesome. Like,
sad.
I feel like if you can survive like that, although like maybe it's not if you can, if it doesn't bother you, you know.
But that's what I guess what I'm thinking is is it the chicken or the egg situation? Like, was he always like that, or is he like that because he's a fucking curmudgeon a-hole and nobody wants to hang out with him anyway?
I think he definitely was a little bit like Angus, and I think that's why he's like Jake said, he kind of sees himself in him. Like he was the smart kid, smarter than everybody else, and people probably didn't like him for that. You know what I mean? And he had a fucked up eye. Can't be easy being in high school with that fucking eye. You know what I mean?
Dude,
And
that
didn't
I
he
was going
smell bad? He
everywhere.
also had a stinky.
Hey, Drew
stink to
Lander!
him. So
They said
just
don't ever do that again.
unfortunate. Do it more often. He just unfortunately wasn't attractive. You're right. Like they acknowledged those things in the film, and that's
Yeah, Mary
Yeah,
says that.
he
pretty
said that
boldly.
to her. He's like, yeah, he did say that. Jake's gone. Okay.
Wait, I'm here. That's
So
all.
they go to the party. They all bond at the party. This is where you find out that did you find something about his dad here? Oh yeah, they argue. They argue at the party, and they take Mary home, who got drunk and was thinking about her kid. And then he tells them that his dad's dead, and
Yeah.
that's why his mom or whatever like that. So then Mary's like, "Yo, you're a fucking idiot. You can't say that to a kid who's alone at Christmas." And then the next day, it
Well,
cuts to
that was a good speech because I mean that was like the trailer speech.
which one?
That one, she was like, you can't tell a kid that's been abandoned on Christmas that he's fucking worthless or whatever. You gotta, and that's when everything
Yeah.
kind of changes. That's when he kind of starts. I think he goes and gets a Christmas tree and takes him to Boston to go ice skating.
Yeah, they do the old Boston trip because it's supposed to be a a field trip, I guess.
Yeah, they
That's how
use
they'll
it as
look
a
at it
big
because he
trip.
wanted to go to Boston. Doesn't he like say something like I want to do something for you now. I want to do something nice. So yeah, he kind of changed a little bit there. Ungrinched, unscrooged.
Did you say she makes him the Christmas dinner? That's kind of where like the binding like really goes full swing, where he's like, they're like, thank you for making us this great dinner. Like, if I can do anything for you guys to make your holiday better, let me know. And he's like, all right, I want to go to Boston.
That's right.
Yeah,
Then
he was like, no, that's not gonna happen. And she was like, you just fucking said he would do anything.
yeah, he's like, all right, well, in the manual, I have the ability to take you on a field trip as long as we do some scholastic things, i.e., museums and monuments and the shit that they do. And it's even like a budget for it, so everything's paid for: hotel room, car, or whatever.
And they drop a Mary
They
off
do
at
that.
Mary's house.
They drop Mary off at her sister's house, who you find out is pregnant, and you see Mary's old room, I think, or her kid's old room in some way, and she unpacks his baby stuff, and she comes to the point in her life where she's, I think, not accepted anything more, but I think hanging out with her sister and realizing some things that we don't really aren't privy to, but you kind of see a change in her. She doesn't drink when she meets back up with them. She I think she's in a little bit of a better place now compared to what she was before she went to her sister's house.
Wait,
And also in this time,
stuff?
the baby stuff is her son stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's her son's baby stuff that she's putting away. But that baby stuff in her room, I think, is why I say I think that was her son's old room, because I think that's where she lived and that's where she was going back to. I think. I don't know.
Cut that part out.
Yeah, I think that's what that was, right?
No,
Seemed right. Yeah,
cut it.
seemed right.
20 minutes. Cut it.
But see, you hate all the exposition of her. You guys have said this whole time.
It was the whole Mary arc. So I can see that being needed here. It's fine.
Yeah, or just cut.
Sad.
She
Mary
was the
out.
best
sad
character.
shit.
She was the
Yeah.
without her, the movie's less interesting in my opinion. Like way less interesting.
I mean, it's hard to be.
She was like the
But yeah.
she was
So we find out they run into that
This is
guy
the dad
from
stuff.
the dad stuff
yeah.
happens after he runs into
After
the guy,
that.
I think, right?
The
So
Boston
this
guy?
is
They're
kind of
going
important
ice skating.
for Giamatti's character. They went ice skating, and he ran into his old, was it his
Harvard
roommate from
buddy.
college or something? Harvard buddy.
Yeah.
And we learned that he got kicked out of Harvard for like basically getting into a fight with this dude, and this dude was the son of like
kinda,
someone who was
he
a
was
donor
accused
or
of
something.
cheating, and then Paul Giamatti ran him over with his car.
So he was accused of plagiarizing,
Something like that.
which is also cheating, obviously. But you came that it was opposite. He stole off Giamatti, but because his dad was who he was, Giamatti called the shit into the stick of it, and that's that's why he didn't pass that other kid, and he's a curmudgeon because he thinks that all these kids are getting away with shit like that because it happened to him. He got kicked out of Harvard because of that shit.
Yeah,
Makes
that helps
sense.
explain
So,
motives in the
and then
beginning and
he
why he was
ran that kid
punished in the
over.
first
Yeah,
place.
which was my favorite scene in the movie. Actually, is when him and the kid are walking into the fucking the liquor store, and he's explaining to him how that happened, and he's like, "Yeah, and I ran him over." And then the guy behind the counter hands him this thing. Here you go, killer. That
Yeah,
was the
brutal.
funniest. He's like, you remember that?
Yeah.
That was so funny. He's like, yeah, that I ran him over with the car and tried to kill him, blah blah. And then like,
Well, he
the guy
goes,
just
"You
goes,
hit
"Here you
him."
go,
He was like,
killer."
"What? You like punched him?" And he was like, "No, I hit him with a car."
Yeah, he calls him killer. Gets here you go, killer.
I don't remember that.
The guy who gave him the money back. The
That's
guy
good.
who was working at the fucking. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So that
Well, then we kind of
happens.
learned that's the origins of why Giamatti still works at the school, because he didn't really have a place to go, but one of his mentors worked at the school. So he just went back there to become like a
Yeah, 'cause he
junior
never
teacher or something. He just kind of
graduated.
worked up
Yeah.
in the ranks. Never graduated from Harvard technically, so he just worked at the school and he got stuck there kind of forever. And this led to where he is now, and to why, and even like him like being,
What a
I don't
miserable
know, like,
fuck.
yeah, he was mad because the whole anti-nepotism thing, so he continues to fail students. That's why he's in the position with Angus now, because if he didn't fail that kid, he probably wouldn't be in this where he is. So it's interesting how it all came back to him. In
Oh,
this sense.
super.
Super.
Riveting.
So-
Someone said it's riveting, dude. I was on the edge of my seat.
And then
for
we learn about the
last half of
father.
this movie.
Yeah,
The next day is they go to like a movie or a play or something. I think it's a movie.
well, they go to an outdoor bookstore, which was pretty sick. And then remember the prostitute comes up to him. She's like the
Oh,
worst looking woman I've ever seen in my life. No offense, but she's a little
Oh,
troll.
she was
And
yucky.
she's fucking
Yeah.
like,
Was
she's
like
like, let's
buzzing
get
candy
more. And
cane.
he's like, yeah, yeah. And the kid's like, go ahead, go on, go with her. I won't mind. He's like, yeah, he don't mind if he gets a little candy cane. He goes, well, you gotta tell you, never really liked candy canes. Oh man, that was a great scene. And then they go to the movies, and the kid sneaks out of the movie and goes
Goes call his dad,
somewhere
right?
to the cab. Yeah, he goes to see his dad, and Giamatti like catches him and is like, "Well, why don't you just tell me? We can go.
To a cemetery.
the
He's
cemetery.
like, I got no problem going
We
to
can
the
go to the
cemetery.
cemetery because your dad's dead." And then you find out his dad's not dead. He's in a psych ward because he's got dementia or fucking schizophrenia. I think he's got a little bit of everything. They said.
Wouldn't it be
Actually.
crazy if he went
Bipolar.
bones and all on her?
Oh shit.
That
But
reminded
this scene
me
was
of that
probably
a
my
little bit.
this scene was probably my favorite scene in the movie though, as far as like the movie being so sentimental and about human connection. Like I think this was the most powerful and saddest scene in the movie, besides for the very end when they say goodbye to each other. Just because like I said earlier, is like his kid's 17 years old, wherever the fuck he is, 16 years old, and he just wants his dad back, and he tries to tell his dad something real, like something about himself that he's been doing, that he's how his life is, and his dad responds with just something that's all about him because that's all he can think about, and this realization of wow, like as much as I really knew it, this is the exclamation point of like my dad will never be my dad again. You know, it's like I have to live my whole life just knowing that. Like I think that was a pretty great scene. In that, I thought that was good. The kid really did it well, and then it jumps to the next scene, which is him and Giamatti sitting in the restaurant waiting for Mary, and that was a great scene too about how like he tells him like he thinks he sees the world the way he sees it, and they have a lot in common in that way, and how like he's not his father. Kid's afraid about becoming his father, like he'll just like become that, and he's telling him he won't. Like I thought that's what I like about these pain movies or scenes like this. Like I think that's what they're all about, you know.
Why do you call them pain movies?
I don't know.
This sounds rough.
Then Mary
He told
comes
him
and
which
she.
eye to look at. Boom.
What did you
By
say?
the eye told him what eye.
He
Oh,
told him
yeah.
what
Told him
eye to
the
look
eye.
Well,
at.
that's the end. Yeah. So
Oh,
Mary
my
comes
bad.
back. No, Mary comes back. She's like, I'm not drinking. I'm just gonna get a tea. So then this is the first time you see Giamatti actually like be on this kid's side with the whole like cherries jubilee fucking conversation. The lady
That was
doesn't want to
pretty
give it
good.
to him because there's some brandy in it, and he's like underage, and then Giamatti's like, just give him the fucking thing, you fucking hard ass, and Mary saves the day by being nice to the lady, and then they go out and they have cherries jubilee in the parking lot. Drive back to the school. They celebrate New Year's, where the Giamatti also shows his next cool thing, which he lets him set the firework off in the kitchen, which he probably never would have done before. Then it cuts to after school break, and basically when his parents show up and are like, "Yo, we're gonna take Angus out of school because he went to visit his dad when you guys went to Boston, and now his dad wants to come back home because he remembers things that he didn't think about and knows things he didn't think about or whatever. And we're gonna send Angus to fucking military school because he probably like conned you into going there. And then Giamatti takes the fall because he realizes that this kid needs to stay here because if he goes to military school, he'll probably be drafted and killed and all that goodness. And he tells him about the eye when he's walking out. Look at this one. And you then realize that Giamatti's going to leave the school. Mary gives him his little notebook so he can write his monograph when he goes to hang out in Europe, in Greece, and Creole, or the fuck he said he was going to go.
Antwerp.
And then the last scene, which I think is my second favorite scene, is when they say goodbye to each other, and they basically is like, "Yo, man, you can do this. You know, like you got it in you. Like you're gonna survive this if you really try." And he says, "All right, see you around." And you go, "See you around," and then it ends. That's the movie.
He runs
That's the
away
movie.
into the snow.
Yeah.
Yep, that was
No
it.
car chases, no explosions.
Well, there was the firework in the kitchen, so that was
Good
kind of an
old fashioned story. About what though? You know,
piece.
character piece. What do you guys
What did we
rate this thing? What did we learn?
What did we learn?
Curmudgeons start young.
Gotta
I don't think we learned shit.
love one another. Gotta
Gotta
have
have
a Merry
empathy for
Christmas.
everybody. This was definitely a
you know.
Christmas classic. This movie, I'll watch this movie again. I'll watch this movie once a year, maybe.
I don't think it
around
was
Christmas
Christmassy
time.
enough.
Every year.
Maybe. Who knows?
Could have been Christmas here. There was no. I mean, it was purposely not Christmassy in the beginning because Giamatti tried to steal Christmas. He was, I kind of wanted to be more referential to like a Christmas Carol. Like if there was sort of like a ghost of the past and present and future, that would have been kind of sick. But whatever. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
like
there
that
was.
opinion.
Maybe Tully's
Okay.
dad is the ghost of Christmas past.
Okay.
And his mom
Who's the future?
is
Tully
present,
just the future, kind of? 'Cause
and
he's like-
Giamatti
wait,
is the
that's
future.
reverse opinion. Or it'd be the other way around from I don't know who's the main character. Was it Giamatti or the kid? It's the kid mostly, but kind of had the.
Giamatti's fucking.
They
left
both
eye was the main
came of
character.
age.
That's a good question. I wonder which one had more screen time. Seems about even, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, like it starts on the kid, so it kind of feels like you're more following him, but I feel like it's pretty shared. I feel like early on it's more the kid because it was happening to him, and then but I don't know, they're pretty equal.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on screen time, Anthony? Who had more?
I think Paul Giamatti had about 4.5 hours. I think the kid
It was
had a
only
little
2
less.
hours and 15-minute film.
Really? Jeez. I don't know, I think. I mean, are we really discussing how long they were on there for?
No.
It's not in Anthony's repertoire to talk about things like this.
What do you
What do
rank it?
you want?
Did you want me to time how long each person was on screen for?
All right. Well, what do you rate the fucking thing? How about that?
7.7.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
What
6'3".
about you? All right.
I'm gonna go 7.2.
That too. Thought you liked it more than that.
That's a very
He says
good
he likes
rating.
the movie and it gives it a fucking C.
Like a C, dude.
It's a very good
C
rating.
plus
It's not.
rating.
I mean,
7 is 7 out of 10. You're saying that's a good rating? It's better than 6 out of 10,
yeah,
I
it's
guess.
a really good rating.
Better than 5.
Yes, those
Fine.
are true. That's are
Fine
true
movie.
statements.
Fine.
I think if you can make a
Fine.
movie and get a 7, you're winning at.
Yeah, I think if you can make a movie and Matt Schwartz from Making Me Watch Movies gives you a 7, success.
The old Matt Schwartz 7.
I don't mean you give a 7 for me. I
MSS,
mean getting
baby.
a 7 on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb or wherever. If you have
It's
a
got
7,
an 8 on
you're killing it.
IMDb.
That's good.
It's good. It's better than.
What's it got on Tomatoes?
I don't know. I don't believe in tomatoes.
Well, no, man. It's a good movie. These are good movie.
It's
Good movie, dude.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Good movie.
I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. Just don't ever want to watch it again. I just typed in tomatoes and like just looking at tomatoes.
I think, are you like for Rotten Tomatoes? That's what you're curious about?
Yeah, what do you got?
Or are you just looking at tomatoes?
I'm just curious. Heirlooms and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Cherry tomato books over
Because if
there?
you're wondering about the Rotten Tomatoes, it got a 97 critic score.
97.
97.
Go
What
fuck
is
yourselves.
that?
The
What
movies
about,
just suck right now. That's why.
5.
Every movie that's been out is
5 on
boring as fuck.
IMDb.
That's an 8.5 on
Yeah, dude.
IMDb.
Yeah.
Terrible year for
I don't
movies.
know. I feel like this movie's a little. It's not a bad movie, but I feel like it's kind of overrated.
You know what? I'm dropping it down to a 3.
Damn.
You guys made me angry about it.
Dramatically dropped its
Even that
score on the
shit out.
IMDb or
Fucking-
MMWM IMDb.
Lady in the Water was better than this.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Damn.
How about we talk a little bit about the ending to The
Hot
Curse? Because I'm kind of, now that you've gestated on it a little bit, was it good enough? Was
Well,
it dumb?
let's wrap
Was
up
it
the
art?
episode of this. How about we wrap
Yeah,
up
let's
the
wrap it up.
episode of this of Making Much Movies? We'll talk about something non-related at all.
Yeah. Well, if you like
So, I
Alexander
don't
Payne
know.
movies, check out this one.
Cut it. Yeah.
Yeah, cut it.
You can't see me, but I'm shaking my head.
Cut it.
Watch Lady in the Water.